Have you calmed down a little bit from last week? Oh, let me just stretch out. I'm feeling good. I'm back. Everyone just take a deep breath. We're back here.
Man, what a sesh that was.
Whew.
We finished recording and I was like, I don't know what happened there.
I don't know what to do with my hands. Welcome back to Friends from Work, a podcast about all things in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, a podcast hosted by me, Kyle Sconowell, and my longtime friend from work, Robbie Earl. And yes, last week was super rare for us. You know, I started the whole thing listening back saying, I'm pretty disappointed, but man, it escalated quickly, in the words of Ron Burgundy. I think once I started hearing you also feel fired up about it, I was like, oh, something came over me. And so 10 minutes later, I'm shouting, and it just happened.
Yeah, look, you know, sometimes you just have to feel your feelings. And sometimes the microphone is on when that happens.
No doubt. I don't regret anything I said. I feel the same way as I did a week ago. But it's been really fascinating to see a decent amount of pushback on our takes on Discord, which honestly, this is the God's honest truth. I think I'd rather it be that way. Like,
for sure.
I think I'd rather our community enjoy something so much that they can argue back to us when we don't. Then I'm like, great, maybe I missed something. And then good. Like, right. I'm glad that everyone can enjoy it without seeing these things. Seriously. And since that time, a few people have shared the article, I think from The Hollywood Reporter, don't quote me, that Echo was the number one show on Disney Plus and Hulu, and it massively bumped. Did you see this?
With like Daredevil and Hawkeye.
The viewership of Hawkeye, all of their Daredevil stuff, and one other thing that I'm blanking on, it bumped like crazy. And so there's already
like the Punisher, maybe?
Like of all the projects that come out that we ripped, leave it to now this one having a Hollywood Reporter article being like, wow, due to the success of Echo, the MCU is back, and they're now looking to lean into the street level thing right after we just said, I never need to see Maya again.
Right.
What are they doing?
I think the article ends with Marvel is interested in more projects with Maya.
We are not in sync with Variety or the Hollywood Reporter. That's just how it is.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, one thing that I kept having to remind myself as I was thinking back on that discussion, and this is such a hard thing about TV versus movies as we're looking at Marvel's like slow evolution through that process. Like, that was a conversation about the finale, right? Like it's easy for that to, and it did become a conversation about the show as a whole, because like the way that things end, like that determines the way that you then look back and view the entire thing. And so like each of the subplots, when they're finding their like quote unquote resolution, that's going to color your experience with them kind of retroactively.
Right.
But, my hope would be that if people listen to that episode and were really disappointed that we were disappointed, that they would know that, our review of the first two episodes, I think we were both fairly positive. And the second two, we were both really positive. And that's like one of the benefits, I think, of us having covered it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I think had you and I just watched all five and then gotten on here, I think like on the one hand, we probably would not have been as let down as we were,
right?
Because we wouldn't have had as much time to sit in it. But I also think it would have just left generally like a meh taste in our mouths, and then you wouldn't really get a sense of where that's coming from as much. But now it's, I think that when future historians look back on our coverage of Echo,
because they will.
Of course they will. They will know that, look, it was a left turn, and that's how these things work. But it's like, that's TV. Again, like that's the thing that I think Marvel is going to be fascinating to see.
1946, Hitler was defeated in Germany. In 2024, Kyle and Robbie reviewed Echo poorly. Keep going. What else?
Echo episode 5 poorly.
That's so true. That is a really good point. I think overall, the episode would have been a little less aggressive and passionate if we had watched all 5 at once. But yeah, we now have evidence to prove that we were super into it a week ago. You're so right.
Right.
We'll see how this kind of lives up on a rewatch. You and I even flirted with the idea of when sharing this show with somebody, what if you just don't even show them the finale? Pretend like it didn't exist, and then you'd get this awesome cliffhanger at the end of 4 of Fisk wants Maya to come back on the airplane, and let's just see how that holds up, maybe not showing the finale. But that's not what today's about. No time.
It's not. But I'm not surrendering that idea yet. I actually have a lot of fun watch order things going on in the back of my mind at the moment. But that is for after the Friendlee Awards.
The 2024 Friendlee Awards, in many ways, the actual kickoff of 2024 for us, because we don't always have a project right before Christmas and right after. And so anyways, this normally happens the first week of January. It's now happening close to the first week of February, but it's award season. Welcome to the 2024 Friendlee Awards, the nominees. For those of you just finding this podcast, here's what's going to happen. Robbie and I have put together, mainly Robbie, a list of all of the categories from last year's MCU projects that we are going to announce today. After we announce it, there will be a link on Patreon, on Substack, and if you subscribe to Friends from Work Plus on Apple or on Spotify, please shoot us a message if you would like to vote, because this link is going to take you to a Google Doc where you can vote for the winner. So the winners of all these categories will be determined by those Friends from Work Plus supporters. And then next week, we will announce the results of said voting and give our takes to the results next week. And what's fun about next week too is usually I do not know the results until you read them to me. Obviously, someone has to know them, and that's usually you. But it makes for a fun, kind of surprising episode. And as a last perk here, our very top tier supporters, our super friends, are going to be announcing some of the winners for us via video on this podcast. So looking forward to that as well.
So this is, if you're listening to this and you want the chance to vote, this is your chance.
Yeah.
You can subscribe now, and voting is open for 7 days, 5 days.
Yeah, good point. Probably 5 days because we'll have to record a little bit early. Something like that.
Yeah, true.
So get your votes in early. Make America skate again.
And we're talking about this Hollywood Reporter article. We're talking about the stuff that we have coming soon on Friends from Work. And so before we jump into it, once again, if you are wondering what we're referencing, we would encourage you to go sign up for our newsletter, which you can get either through our website at theffwpodcast.com or going to Substack and searching Friends from Work there. It is totally free. You can also access a lot of our paid, like Patreon content through that portal as well. But if you just want some updates on what's going on in the world of the MCU and slightly beyond, and then specifically what we have happening on the podcast front, that is your best bet. We're recording this the day after the last newsletter went out, and I thought Greg did an especially great job of rounding up some of this great, like the conversation around Echo, the conversation around like whether this is the first step in a new direction or the last step in the old direction. So I would encourage everyone to go check that out too.
Check it out and find out that it's the last step in an old direction. All right, here we go. The 2024 Friendlee Award nominees. Woo. And Robbie constantly clearing his throat. That's what today's episode is. The nominees and throat clearing.
This is the ongoing me just being somewhat sick for months at a time. Not like I'm now not really sick, but I'm just enough. But at the wedding that I was in, I was in a similar state, and I kept clearing my throat, and everyone thought I was trying to get their attention, and it became a constant.
Do you take this bride to be? Hello.
Okay, are we ready?
Yeah. How many categories do we have overall? I guess. What is
gosh.
it? Yeah, you haven't counted. Sorry, I sprung that on you.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. An even 20.
Perfect.
I think. I could have miscounted, but
didn't even plan that. Okay, so last pitch here. If you are going to find some of this reading overwhelming, you can actually watch this episode on YouTube or on Spotify if you enable video. And I say that because I plan on typing this up while we're talking, is the hope. So here we go. Robbie is going to be reading a lot of categories here. Hang with us. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So I will say we will reserve the right to change some of the order here between this and the actual ballot that folks get, depending on what works.
Good point.
But these are the nominees in more or less the correct order.
And the last thing I'll add, you will get this from hearing the categories, but just to reiterate, last year's projects were in this order: Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Secret Invasion, then we had Loki Season 2, then The Marvels, then What If. I believe that's everything off the top of my head. I think that's right for 2023.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay. Well, this feels like an appropriate place to start. Hey, I mean,
stop, please.
Hey.
Have you seen category 1? Hello?
All right. So, best addition to the MCU this year.
Okay.
Our nominees are Adam Warlock from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep.
Sonya Fallsworth from Secret Invasion.
Yep.
Gaia from Secret Invasion. Cohorty from What If. And OB from Loki Season 2.
Great category. People sleep on... Because, I know Secret Invasion gets a lot of hate. I think what's fun about the Friendlies is, as you go through some of these categories, I think you're going to remember that there were some fun parts of certain things, like Olivia Colman slayed. Yeah.
That's one thing that I've tried to do throughout. There may be a few repeats here, but one thing that I would like for us to be able to do through the awards this year is highlight things that even projects that we don't like could win in. I don't want, rather than it just be like No Way Home is going to blow out every category again. I like it when it's, because there are certain, even the critics for Secret Invasion, I was looking back at reviews the other day. A lot of them point out that the performances were generally pretty great. It was just that they weren't necessarily given the best material to work with. So I think you're right. I feel like there will be things like that sort of throughout.
I think typically, too, we like to have every project represented if possible. Sometimes a project is represented more than once, like in this case with Gaia and Sonya. But then there are a couple where if you don't hear somebody in a certain category, don't necessarily freak out, because there were a couple times where like a villain, does the villain fall in the supporting actor or villain role? Like who is the lead actor of certain who's the lead actor of the Marvels? Is it Nick? So there's some gray area on a few of these. So here we go.
Yeah. I should also point out that there are characters like the High Evolutionary that it was a new character, but I don't see that as an addition to the MCU, and that story is done. Like, I feel like for this, you kind of have to be a character that survives the project you were introduced in.
Well,
is kind of my
James
threshold.
Gunn has said that he did survive that somehow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's like news. But that's also James, who's no longer a part of the MCU, saying that. And so it will be up to Kevin if he wants to bring that back. All right, category number 2.
Yeah, was he going to be in the DC universe now, James?
He survived just enough to get over to the DC world via
It went through one of those rips in space-time.
Exactly.
Okay. Wow, I did not know that. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he,
I'm done,
no, you're not. I guarantee there'll be more.
I'm definitely not.
James Gunn also said, that's not the same Groot, but then Marvel has never really like come out and fully canonized is that Groot reborn or Groot that didn't die. So that
okay, best team up: Scott and Cassie Lang, Nebula and Peter Quill.
That's a hard one in that movie. Like who the team up is in that movie is hard.
I know, which is why we're also going to have Groot and Peter Quill because you get just if only for that one specific scene.
Well, and because Rocket's out of most of that movie or like a good chunk of it.
Right.
And Gamora, that's not okay. Yeah, good one. All
right. Nick Fury and Talos. Loki and OB. As best team up.
Okay.
Now, again, this is one that like Loki also introduces some interesting stuff here with the season 2. We'll have that with What If as well, where like, yes, you could arguably put Loki and Mobius in that, but I feel like we've explored that so much already that I sort of like the idea of utilizing the season 2.
Yeah. They definitely teamed up more in season 1. Season 2, because of the time traveling thing, Mobius was more just kind of lost with what was happening, whereas OB a little bit had a sense. I like it.
Speaking of What If, Kahorti and Captain Carter.
Yep.
And finally, Carol, Kamala, and Monica.
Oh, cheating.
For the Marvels.
Okay, cheating. 3-way team up.
I know, but I mean, higher, further, faster.
Together.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Whenever I send our emails, I either sign it higher, further, faster, together. And then recently I've been signing it let's grow together. I don't know which one I like better. They're both so good for our podcast.
I always like signing it piss off ghosts.
Piss off ghosts. Our new hoodies say let's grow together. So maybe that one. Piss off ghost. Next, category 3.
I was like, wait, is there a new piss off ghost hoodie that I missed? Because that's a day one purchase.
Now I'm going to make you one, basically.
Best action sequence.
Oh,
this one's fun too.
Yeah, I love this one.
Scott battles Kang in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Okay.
That being the final fight.
That's an interesting one too, because you could also maybe include the ants attack, like maybe not the very final battle.
Yeah.
But that very final battle where Kang is punching him in the face is pretty brutal. All right, good choice.
Man, we'll talk about that later.
We could call it When the Ants Go Marching.
Yeah. Candace and me, she was in the airport yesterday, and for some reason she's decided that like the song that is going to be our like guiding light this year is the song Ants Marching by Dave Matthews.
I saw it on social media.
And the crazy thing is like she got back from a trip where for some reason it was playing somewhere and she and her friend were laughing about it. It's also funny because like I was such a diehard Dave Matthews fan in high school that my PlayStation name that I created then is still Dave Fan. Like that's how much I was in it. And so she's got like a very willing audience, but she was she was in the airport yesterday. And
easily could have been the song in Barbie Around the Fireplace.
Easily. Oh yeah. Man. Okay. Next up.
So Scott battles Kang.
Yes. For Guardians, the tunnel fight. The one that I think we're all kind of thinking of.
Yes.
Is it the Beastie Boys song? Is that one?
Yes. Absolute classic. No comment though.
The death of Talos in Secret Invasion and kind of the whole scene
on the highway.
Around that.
On the highway.
Yes. Yeah. The
oh, told you. Wasn't the last one.
I know, right? In Loki, the scene where Mobius pulls Loki from the loom if you can imagine that.
Yeah, there's not a lot of action in Loki season 2, technically. Like a choreographed fight scene. There's the attempt to stop all the bombs.
Yeah.
But there's very little.
I think, like,
one scene, though, is more suspenseful than I like that. Like Loki flying in and tackling Mobius just as they get through the door.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it just depends on, like, if you want to look at it as like a fight scene, then I think you could arguably put in like the Victor Timely, Loki, Sylvie. Is Sylvie there for that, I think?
Yeah, but it's not even really a fight. They're just, I like the choice.
Around.
I like the choice.
What if we have the strange supreme battle against Captain Carter and Cohorty?
Yep.
And kind of everybody. And then last but certainly not least, the Marvels trading spaces against Dar-Benn, by which we mean the kind of final entangled fight once they have become a true team, or dare I say family, at the end of the Marvels.
Together. When they've mastered how to trade spaces. Yep.
Yeah, although you and I debated the initial kind of entangled fight sequence there too. They're just very different. That one's really fun and like visually interesting, but I feel like from kind of a like getting your heart rate up action sequence perspective, the final fight wins.
Agreed.
Okay, best villain. Speaking of Dar-Benn, sorry, can't stop.
I'm not cutting these out. I'm leaving them.
Best villain, Kang the Conqueror, Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania, The High Evolutionary, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Gravik from Secret Invasion, He Who Remains from Loki Season 2, Strange Supreme from What If, and Dar-Benn from the Marvels.
Loki Season 2 is fascinating because He Who Remains doesn't even really show up till the very end. But I get it. He's the villain. Like, you don't really know who is the villain for a long time. There's not even really a villain. They're trying to prevent a catastrophic thing. I love it.
It's going to be so fascinating to look back at both Loki and Quantumania now that Jonathan Majors is affirmatively out, to see how certain things are reframed, because there were elements of those projects that were so ambiguous, and I think that the original intention was to narrow those down and take us in a certain direction, but I think that now, probably for a variety of reasons, those directions are changed, and I feel like they're going to take advantage of some of that ambiguity, but I'm curious in what way. But I think that that's kind of one where it's like, I think that you can now look back at Loki as kind of like we talked at the time, that could be when they defeat Kang definitively, depending on how they go with it. But anyway, best romance. Only a couple of entries here.
I was actually helping you put this category together in particular, and I was shocked. This was not the year of romance, because even Loki and Sylvie don't really get romantically involved at all. Like, I was having a hard time thinking of what that would be, which usually, like, I think if I remember in 2021, the 2022 Friendlies, this was easy. We had like 7. Remember, like Steven and Layla, Mark and Layla. We had like 7 different options for that.
And then there was like, there were just so many things in general. Yeah. But yeah, the Peter MJ relationship, I think, was the same. Maybe that was the next year. Anyway, yeah, I didn't put like Peter and Gamora here, even though that is like a central theme of the latest Guardians entry, because it's not really a romance.
Yeah, the point is they're not romantically involved. That's the point of it.
Like, if anything, it's him mourning the loss of a prior romance.
Yeah.
But, so what we have here, we have 3 entries.
Oh, okay.
Scott and Hope in Ant-Man, Nick Fury and Priscilla in Secret Invasion, And Steve Rogers and Captain Carter from What If Season 2. I think that's an interesting one because there are elements of that kind of throughout that season. Beginning with the Winter Soldiery episode and then also in the 1602.
And when we were discussing this one, there was a tiny bit of me that wanted to do Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer, Hank and Janet, almost, because they kind of rekindle the romance, but it ends with Scott and Hope kissing and saying I love you. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point though. I mean, you could also look at Carol's relationship with the ruler prince of the singing kingdom, but I feel like that's not a true romance. That's like a marriage of convenience.
That's what she says. Yeah. I can't wait for that film to come out on Disney Plus, by the way. It's now out digitally, but I think it's like mid-February projected to have it on streaming, which I would like.
I am really excited for that as well. I was actually over the weekend getting ready. I was packing for a trip and had kind of started watching through some multiverse themed MCU properties.
Just getting your mind framed right.
Just getting my mind right. And
yes.
I realized, I think
look at you.
Next up for me we'll have Quantumania and the Marvels. So I'm waiting for that as well.
And our rewatch is on Wakanda Forever, right? Two-pronged here. Yeah, so we're on Wakanda Forever and then, rewatching some of the new stuff. Before the new category, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, continue, please.
So we are now into some performance categories.
Here we go.
Starting with Best Supporting Actress. First up, Michelle Pfeiffer as Janet Van Dyne. Olivia Colman as Sonia Fallsworth. Sophia DiMartino as Sylvie. And then, and I'm going to do my best here pronunciation-wise, Devery Jacobs as Cohorty. This is interesting. I feel like Greg has flagged this in the past and it just didn't sink in until this moment. But I'm realizing that she was the voice actor for Cohorty and also played Bonnie in Echo.
I also did not realize that until really recently.
That's crazy.
Crazy. So,
it's like a Judy Greer situation. Or Linda Cardellini. Did you know that Judy Greer plays the like freaky pig monster in Guardians?
No. So Linda's the otter and Hawkeye's wife, obviously.
Right. And then Judy is the pig monster and Cassie's mom.
You know who else?
In the first two Ant-Mans.
Can I quiz you? There's one other one that I can think of. Who else?
From Guardians?
In the MCU has done two things.
Oh, Lake Bell.
Oh, okay. I have another in my mind.
Oh, man.
Hint, Eternals.
Oh, yeah. Gemma Chan.
She's also one of the Kree warriors in Captain Marvel.
Yeah, true. And such a different character, which is fun.
Almost unrecognizable because of the makeup.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, look at this. Okay. Anyways, and Cohorty's, I thought a good choice for this. That's a tough one to call supporting actress in What If because obviously each episode is kind of unlinked for a while, you know. But I feel like that's the obvious one, right? If Captain Carter's the main lead.
Yeah. I think that's fair. And last but not least, Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan.
Okay.
On the Best Supporting Actor front, we have Michael Douglas as Hank Pym, Will Poulter as Adam Warlock, Ben Mendelsohn as Talos, Owen Wilson, Mobius, Chris Hemsworth as Thor, What If, and Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury in the Marvels, but also What If you want to expand that a bit.
What If is so hard to choose a supporting actor.
Yeah. Kind of everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I like the selection of Chris. He's in a few episodes. Fun to hear his voice again. And I don't think I'd ever call him the lead. So, okay.
For sure. Okay, best surprise appearance.
Okay.
This is a fun one.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm trying to think who this could be.
First up, we have MODOK.
Oh, you know
that's
Quantumania. You know that's who I'm voting for.
We have also an Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, Loki and Mobius.
And you know MODOK's only going to get 3 votes. It's going to be like me and 2 other people. That's it. But I am absolutely voting for it.
Hey, who knows? Sylvester Stallone as Stakar in Guardians 3.
Okay, sorry. What was the one right before this? I missed it. I was talking.
Oh, Loki and Mobius in the credit scene of Quantumania. Nathan Fillion as one of the Orgoscope guards in Guardians 3. Rick Mason showing up in Secret Invasion, which I had kind of forgotten about until I was putting these together. But a fun Black Widow connect into Secret Invasion.
Okay.
Then the Marvels, we have 3.
Oh.
Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie.
Yes, true.
Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop.
True.
And of course, Kelsey Grammer as Beast. So, this is one
the Valkyrie one, I truly had no idea that was coming.
Yeah. I think even the Stallone one, I feel like there was like a spot or something where that was shown like right before, but I remember that being something that was discussed and me thinking that it just didn't, I couldn't see them really pulling Stallone back in, but then they did. So that was a fun little surprise for me.
I'm on the current rhythm of watching the first trailer and the second trailer and then shutting it down. So all those TV spots, I usually avoid unless I'm literally watching football or something and it comes on. So
I definitely did that for the Marvels, which I was glad I did.
So maybe some of those weren't as surprising for some people, but they were for me.
Well, and that's part of the thing too, is I feel like a lot of these things, they are, I don't know, I view them as a surprise unless it is affirmatively being like put out that like, hey, this person is on the poster, like their name is on the poster, they're a part of this movie. I'm going to take it as the average person would have seen it as a surprise.
All right.
Okay.
Moving along.
One of our favorite categories here. Best score.
Okay. Christoph Beck. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania.
Yep. Friend of the pod.
John Murphy. Yeah.
Wow, there you go.
Chris Bowers, Secret Invasion. Natalie Holt, Loki Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then, here we go. Double entry. Laura Cartman for her work on What If Season 2 and Laura Cartman for her work on The Marvels.
Yes.
I'm not reading that. That's just from my galaxy brain right here.
I love it.
Okay.
By the way, we are close to finalizing the updates on the Journey Through the MCU.
Good.
I was working on that this weekend.
They are needed.
We are not through Echo because I just have not had time to really sit down with that score, but at least through the Marvels.
You know what I did? On our website, the ffwpodcast.com, there's a little tab for Engage, and that's where you find Patreon and all this stuff. And I added Listen to Journey Through the MCU on Spotify, so you can click on that and go directly to the playlist. Which, by the way, the playlist has like 400 likes on Spotify or something. So look at us. No big deal.
I love
making playlists.
all the money that we get from it.
Yeah. You know what? I'm filthy rich. You probably shouldn't say that. We'll cut this out. We won't tell people.
Yeah, I don't want them to know.
All those streams, the money actually goes to the playlist creator, not the actual creator of the music.
Honestly,
that's our hidden secret.
Spotify is so weird with stuff like that. That would barely even surprise me at this point.
400 likes. I mean, we'd probably, even if that was the case, that'd be like 3 cents.
Like, I did the math the other day, and I think like if you have like a million streams or something, that equates to like several $1,000s.
I think it's about 10,000. I think it's usually about 1 million is 10,000. Is that right? That's what I think it usually is.
So I just
On Spotify.
I did a Google check and it's saying it's close to 5.
Okay, so I can speak into this if you. Well, yeah, hold on.
Yeah,
well, let me think.
Now I'm seeing 4 to 7, which is getting a little bit closer.
Okay. 200,000 streams. Yeah, no, I think 4 is right. 200,000 streams is about $800. So $800 times 5? So 4,000. So probably closer to $4,000 or $5,000 for 1 million streams.
It's so crazy because it's like I remember when I was first putting music out, even in the iTunes era, and you would make like 70 cents on the dollar or something.
Yeah, well, that's because those were sales. Yeah.
No, I know, but it was just like I feel like it's got to be so hard to make. That's why we have this playlist, to just keep Brian Tyler afloat. You know,
that's right. We're doing what we can.
Okay. Best post-credit scene.
Yeah, because you would think if someone had 10 million streams on a song, you'd be like, I think that the perception would be, oh my gosh, they're killing it. Like they're way making it. But we're saying that'd be about $40,000. So that's a good living for a year. But that's not, I guess I think the perception would be that 10 million streams on Spotify would be more than that. Although, remember, Apple pays out. So if you have 10 million on Spotify, you probably have something on Apple. Obviously, show money is probably generated because of the 10 million streams. You know, maybe radio play is generated. Anyways, okay, here we go. Keep it moving. My Star Wars reference. Move along. These are not the playlists you're looking for.
All right, best post-credit scene. This is kind of an interesting one. We had less of these of note, I think. There were a few throughout What If, but most of them are kind of teasers. Same with Loki. We had like the kind of audio credits thing for Zaniac. But I think in terms of proper post-credit scenes for 2023, it was really just the films. So for
we're
Ant-Man,
breaking that trend for sure.
Yeah. And again, some of these have kind of been covered elsewhere, which is why we're going to list the ones here that we are. So for Ant-Man, the Council of Kangs. For Guardians, the new Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep.
And for the Marvels, the Fox Men.
This is the thing.
You will.
We got very few. The Foxman. Hey, that's clever. That's clever. I'm sorry. I shouldn't gloss over that. That was really clever. That's the Robbie I love. We didn't get many post-credit scenes, but the ones we got were very impactful. The Council of Kings thing, like, started conversation forever about what's going on, and now something they're going to have to address without Jonathan Majors, which is wild. Yeah. And then the new Guardians team could seriously be something in the future. And then, obviously, what the Foxmen means is wild.
Maybe they're just going to make Kang one of the CGI-faced variants. And so, like, the one that moves forward is just, like, one of the few, like, alien-looking ones that doesn't look anything like Jonathan Majors.
Or it's, like, robotic Kang, and they only use AI to recreate Kang from here on out. All of Jonathan Majors' lines.
I will say, I'm so curious to see. I think it just makes more sense at this point to if they are going to continue, find a way to
just recast,
make it at least not the main focus. But
okay, I think just recast and keep it the focus. But yeah. Okay, here we go.
Man, interesting things to speculate about at a later date.
Yep. Okay. We got a lot of categories to go still,
but not that many. Best episode of a series. We have Secret Invasion Episode 2, Promises.
Okay.
And Secret Invasion Episode 4, Beloved. And we'll have 2 picks from each of the series.
Okay.
This year. In part because again, I think it's nice.
Yes.
Sometimes if it's just one, it becomes sort of a stand-in for what was your favorite series.
Yeah. And because then we're determining it for you. If you had a favorite, let's give you a few more options here. I like that.
Yeah. Loki season 2, episode 5, science fiction, which is when he's kind of going and trying to recruit everybody to come back to help save the timelines. And then episode 6, glorious purpose.
Yeah.
Which is obviously the finale. I was kind of curious as I was putting this together, and I was referencing some of our picks against like the IMDb.
You did? Okay.
Viewer like fan ratings.
Look at you.
One, it was just really curious in general to look through several different projects, but especially like Secret Invasion, to kind of see what how certain things were rated, and like certain episodes of Secret Invasion are not rated very badly, surprisingly.
But that's not surprising. You and I felt that way as we were watching it. We died on that hill. I think you're correct that it's not a good show. It's one of the lesser projects they've made, but I think people have just jumped on a train and that becomes very popular. Groupthink is very popular online for sure.
Yeah. Loki, I thought it was really interesting. By and large, like not in like a landslide way, but I think most of the Loki season 1 episodes are rated like slightly above Loki season 2. Interestingly, it's like not, again, it's close, but I think that like Loki season 1 barely gets the edge. But the Loki season 2 finale is by like a decent little margin the top rated episode of Loki, period.
That makes sense.
Which is great. That again, we're talking about like the right direction for the MCU, right? So that was just a couple months ago.
Good point.
And finally, What If? Episode 8 of season 2 is 1602. And then episode 6, What If Cohorty Reshaped the World?
Those are 2 good choices.
I think that'll, and kind of two different takes on the idea. All right. Now we're kind of getting to the big ones here.
Here we go.
As we're wrapping. First up, Best Lead Actor.
Okay, here we go.
We have Paul Rudd as Scott Lang.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Pratt as Peter Quill.
Mm-hmm.
Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom Hiddleston as Loki.
Mm-hmm. So we're saying there's not a lead actor in the Marvels. And if there was, I guess it'd be Nick Fury. So
I know, that's the thing. Yeah, I kind of feel like...
give it to him for Secret Invasion. Okay.
Yeah. Either one. Best Lead Actress. A couple more entries here. We have Karen Gillan as Nebula in Guardians. Again, Guardians is so weird with this stuff.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out like who constitutes a lead actor. But
it just can't really be Gamora, right? Because she's only in... she's not even in the movie until 30 or 40 minutes in, right?
But I think that Gamora also gets a nomination here.
Okay, all right. Hey, it's your thing. I'll follow.
Just because she does have a pretty big role, and she and Peter do have like that's a big part of the ongoing story.
I take it back.
So yeah, Zoe as Gamora, Evangeline Lilly as Hope Van Dyne in Quantumania,
Mm-hmm.
Emilia Clarke as Gaia in Secret Invasion. And then this is where it gets really interesting for the Marvels. We're going to have Brie Larson, Teyana Paris, and Iman Vellani.
All nominated?
All nominated.
Okay.
Hey, man, they're co-leads. Look at the marketing. I'm going for it. I want to make people pick. I want to cause dissension.
Well, yeah, I wonder if that's going to split the vote at all. Someone who maybe would have just voted for Brie as a nod to the Marvels, now maybe those votes get split and they don't win it. We'll find out.
I know,
like you
but
said,
that's
things
the thing.
get interesting. Yeah, okay.
And it shouldn't be a vote for the Marvels.
Yeah,
it should be a vote
Hey,
for the actor.
You're right. As you often are. Not too often though. Don't get your
not too often. Not whenever I'm predicting the amount of times that I'll clear my throat.
Correct.
Best voice actors. So this is one that we haven't had since 2021 because we didn't have What If, and there wasn't really anything else that called for it. But what's interesting this year is we obviously have What If, but we also have Guardians that had some notable voice acting.
And then next year we anticipate X-Men 97, right? From this category.
Yeah. A couple, actually. A couple of animated series, I think. So for Guardians, Bradley Cooper as Rocket, of course.
And
then
point.
Linda Cardellini as Lila, the Otter, as we mentioned, one of the crossovers from one MCU role to another. And then for What If, we have Haley Atwell as Captain Carter, Karen Gillan again as Nebula, which folks will remember was a standout for me and not for Kyle. So we'll see how that goes. Kate Blanchett, What If, and Jeff Goldblum. And then finally, although this is kind of an interesting one, I'm sort of cheating, but Devery Jacobs again as Cohorty. I feel like I feel okay having her in both because I think that in her main episode, she really is like one of the more, like we had her in the best supporting actor category, and she really does hold down that entire episode. So I kind of like breaking those out into both like a performance in general and specifically the performance in terms of the voice acting and how that interacts with the animation here.
Sure. I agree.
All right. Now, best writer writing team. And we have a couple of friends of the show here. Some friends that we should get back on the show.
Absolutely.
Starting with James Gunn, longtime friend of the podcast, comes on all the time.
No, he's not.
For Guardians of the Galaxy. Jeff Loveness, who has been on the show.
He is a true friend of the show. That's true.
He is.
Maybe the most of friends. No,
well, that's the thing is I'm looking forward to having all of the dust clear on all this stuff once and for all, so that we can have him back on and
that's true.
And not have it all shrouded in secrecy. But Kyle Bradstreet and Brian Tucker
not
for
friends
Secret
of the
Invasion.
Show.
Not friends of the show.
In fact, we hate them.
Yeah. Personally, has nothing to do with their work either.
Their work is great, but yeah, I can't stand the guy.
Someone that I would like legitimately to get on the show soon, Eric Martin for Loki season 2.
Good point.
And just as a reminder,
he's a wishful friend of the show, like a friend that we hope eventually becomes a friend.
Yeah, he's got the he fits the bill.
He's
does. One of these guys that seems to really enjoy the work. He takes it seriously, but has fun with it.
Yeah, okay.
And life. And finally, AC Bradley is
true friend of the show.
Is a true friend of the show.
Tried to hook us up with a premiere party that we got bounced out of, but she tried. So, you know, that happened.
True. Man, what an adventure.
You owned it, man. You owned it. You're walking right by, who are we walking by? And you're just like, I'm following them. I'm following Florence Pugh into this party. It did not work.
We got close.
We did.
And I said finally one too early, but the last entry here, Nia DaCosta, Megan McDonnell, and Alyssa Karasik for
writing
the
team.
Marvels.
Okay.
So, and again, it's easier with the films. Sometimes when we're talking about the best writers for certain series here, we're taking like Eric Martin was the head writer.
Sure.
There are episodes that he was not the script writer on, but I think generally this feels about right.
Yep.
And now really the big, final big four, I guess.
Okay.
Best director.
Here we go.
Peyton Reed, Quantumania. James Gunn, Guardians of the Galaxy. Ali Salim for Secret Invasion. Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead. Hey, for Loki season 2.
Stop. No influencing.
Nia DaCosta for the Marvels. And Brian Andrews, another friend of the pod, for What If.
That's true.
Season 2. Okay, and these are not a mystery to anybody. You read them at the very beginning, but just to recap, best series of 2023 will be either Secret Invasion, Loki season 2, or What If season 2. And then best film, our choices are Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and The Marvels. I'm actually really curious to see what the best film votes look like.
Yeah, same. There's a chance, and I'm not trying to influence, there's a chance that the best series category is unanimous, which maybe would be the first ever unanimous ever. Now, I'm not speaking it, but it could happen. But the films, I think, would be a little more split. For me, it's a little more split. One last thing. Every year, we typically do the most anticipated film or show of the next year. Which, are we going to do that?
Yeah.
Because the only film is Deadpool 3.
Yeah.
Most anticipated film. You have one option.
Yeah. Although we do have a couple of kind of fun contenders thrown in here because of the lighter year on the MCU front.
Okay, all right, sorry. Not to steal your thunder.
There it is.
Golly. I'm gonna do it one more time. That's it, and then I'm done.
I am very curious to see. I think you're right on the best film front. I think that maybe on the series too, there may be a split even for certain people between the kind of preference and like quote unquote critic side, where I feel like there are certain options here that if you were just going to look at it from what you think was the best received and what generally was executed really well, the options maybe are somewhat clear. But then again, it's like I've heard certain people list some of these as some of their favorite things or their favorite things since Endgame. And they're not always the obvious ones. So we'll see. But most anticipated Marvel of 2024, you see we're expanding the
cheater
net a bit there. I know. But first, if we're going, I guess, alphabetically here because of all these release dates move around so much anyway. Agatha, Darkhold Diaries.
Sure.
Is supposed to come out next year. And like you said, Deadpool 3 is the one and only MCU film on the docket. Eyes of Wakanda is another animated series that I had kind of forgotten about, but that's also coming, I believe, this year. And same for Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which is how Spider-Man freshman year has been rebranded smartly, I think, because that was a very confusing thing for all of us. And then, of course, talking animated series here, we have X-Men 97, which I think is pretty unique in that it's one of the more hotly anticipated projects, certainly of next year, because we don't have that many, but I think it's one that's gotten people really excited regardless. But that's kind of unique as an animated series. And then our non-MCU Marvel movies that are supposed to hit this year are both from Sony.
I know Pete's answer.
Yep.
Venom.
Venom 3.
Yep.
And Madam Web, which actually releases very soon. Like, I think when people are listening to this episode, we will be a few weeks away from the Madam Web release.
Does DC have any projects this year, by the way?
That is
totally
that's
random.
a good question.
Okay, you keep talking. I'm going to look it up real quick.
Well, I totally missed Aquaman even coming out.
It did around Christmas. Yeah, I haven't seen it.
I totally missed that.
Stop.
No, I'm not even being like, I just didn't know that it was out. I haven't heard anything about it. Like, I don't know if it was well received or not. That's just, it kind of.
It was not well received. It made no money in the box office, although even with the small amount it made, I just saw that it passed Black Adam's box office total. No comment. Presented without comment.
I mean,
there's a new hierarchy.
I mean, literally.
It's Aquaman.
Now, it's Aquaman. Okay, but yeah, that is those are the Marvel projects that we have. I don't think we missed anything, but hey, listen, this entire ballot, if you get
the next Joker movie comes out this fall.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, if you think we missed something and you get to me early enough, we may try to add it. Probably not, but you can you can try. We have tried our best to catch everything here and to sort them appropriately. And I am really excited to hear what a lot of these wind up being. I think that surprisingly, given how much there were certain projects that people loved and certain things that people generally hated, I am kind of pleasantly surprised at how many of these categories feel like toss-ups to me. So we shall see.
Absolutely. This is always so fun. I can't wait to find out. Just to close us with a few more details, remember, you have a link in your Patreon messages and on your Patreon wall and or your Substack subscription. If you need that link and you're a Friends from Work Plus subscriber elsewhere and you want that, reach out to us. So many ways. Go to our website, theffwpodcast.com, or hello@theffwpodcast.com is an email that we will answer if you need that link. And then, get your votes in before Friday probably. And then next week will be a celebration of all these winners from 2023.
Love it.
Thank you so much, guys. We love you so much. Thanks for the grace for last week's episode. Thanks for listening. We'll see you right back here on Friends from Work.